The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The empty seat. Who is actually just that, an empty chair in your office because you couldn't find someone to fill it. So it just sat there costing you money with all its fancy ergonomic features. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can make it easy to fill that seat with the right candidate. With nearly 60% of businesses finding someone to interview in the first week alone. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Growing a successful business has never been easy. But whether you're navigating a complex industry or trying to reinvent one, our breadth of banking experts are here to collaborate on market-proven solutions. At KeyBank, we're built to grow with your changing needs because we're not just here for the business you are now, we're here for the business you'll become. Reimagine business as usual. KeyBank opens doors. Learn more at key.com/B2B.
What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't your skill set? It's your emotional habits. Because most people don't lack talent, they lack emotional discipline. Welcome back to Speaking with Confidence, the podcast that helps you build the soft skills that lead to real results. Communication, storytelling, public speaking, and showing up with confidence in every conversation that counts. I'm Tim Newman, a recovering college professor turned communication coach, and I'm thrilled to guide you on a journey to becoming a powerful communicator. Today's guest is Andrea Vitz. Andrea is a leading emotional sobriety expert, best-selling author, TEDx presenter, keynote speaker, podcaster, and doctor of chiropractic. As president and co-founder of Lifted Academy, she is known for developing emotional sobriety training, a revolutionary rep-based method that trains individuals to master their emotional biochemistry and break free from destructive behavioral patterns. Her acclaimed book, The You've Never Met, has guided thousands to heal cycles and transform relationships at home and at work. She has 2 leadership books set for release this year. Andrea, welcome to Speaking with Confidence.
Thank you so much, Tim. I'm really honored to be here. I've been following you now and really loving your podcast and what you do out there in the world. So thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries. I appreciate it. 2 books. God bless you. 2 books in 1 year. You know, it's having been through the book writing process. I know what it takes, and I know the commitment. And so to do 2 in 1 year, that just shows your commitment to helping people and getting this information out, because the whole idea of emotional sobriety is fascinating to me, because, you know, like what we talked about, you know, in our pre-show interview, we let our emotions run our lives.
Yeah, without even knowing it, really, because it seems so normal. Everybody's experiencing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody experiences it. This isn't just relegated to some subset of the population. If you're alive and if you're human, you go through these types of things. And to go along with some of those types of things, we have so much in common in terms of the world that we grew up in. We don't talk about our emotions. You just perform. You just do what you get through whatever it is. You just perform, and you perform at the highest level. At what point did you realize that performing well and being emotionally mature were 2 very, very different things?
So I would say I was probably about 30 years old. I was already a doctor. I was a mom. I'd already been divorced once. And I was in this new relationship. Yeah. And I recognized I was not qualified to be in that relationship. Now, none of us are really qualified to be in romantic relationships. When you really step back and look at it, we're not, because without knowing it, we're so self-centered and self-obsessed. And I'll get really clear on what that means. It's not the same as being selfish. But being self-centered is when we make everything about us and our insecurities. So the things that we hear, the things that we see, we're literally always going to hear what we fear, and we're always going to find what we're looking for. So if you're looking through what I call a filter of your past experiences, I'm not good enough, I'm insecure, I'm not important, I'm going to be betrayed, or I'm a joke, you're going to find it. You're going to hear it and you're going to find it. And in romantic relationships, it tends to be the worst because we're the most vulnerable and reactive in those settings. but it's also the greatest place for us to train. Because if you can find a way to change the way you look at things, to increase your level of maturity and your emotional sobriety, you're not going to have the same reactions that you currently do. So many people say, well, Andrea, I don't want to suppress my emotions. Great. Not asking you to. Or Andrea, I don't want to fake it. Not asking you to. I'm telling you, there's a point where you can train yourself the way that I did when I turned around 30. I trained myself to not look at things the same way and make everything about me. And it completely annihilated what I call my anatomy of emotional insobriety. The things that make up, the mechanism that makes up your emotional intoxication in the first place. If you can train that, get very clear on what it is first, and then train those things, you actually don't react. You don't have the emotion in the body. So you're not shoving anything down. This is where you take a high level performer, or you take a mom, or you take a husband, and you turn them into the most level-headed, most composed person in every room. And what that does is it just creates this safety. Everybody around you feels like, I know I can trust them because their emotional state is always the same. Think about when you last had an argument with your partner or somebody in your life, or you knew like the tension wasn't good. You don't feel safe, literally, because of the other person's emotions. You don't trust what they're going to do, how they're going to react. And so if you always knew how you were going to respond, how they were going to respond, you would feel no negative emotion. You had it under control. So that was my biggest thing, was how can I become a person who my partner, my child, my patients, whoever I'm in contact with, feels the most safe with? Because I'm always the same.
Yeah, it's such a different way of looking at things. And, you say you hit that at 30, and it gets me thinking about what we've learned about the way our brain develops. We used to think that our brain was fully developed at 18. Then we thought it was fully developed at 21. But what we're finding is our brains don't fully develop until we're like 26, maybe even 27. So is it possible to come to these types of revelations at a younger age, or do we really have to go through all this stuff that we go through as young people and wait till our brain's fully developed, or can this be done sooner?
I love that question, because I think it can be done sooner, the same way we can learn language sooner than our brain is developed, the same way we learn social skills before our brain is developed. Okay. You can reach and expedite a level of maturity that far exceeds your age. Because if you think about this, age doesn't promise maturity.
Right.
I mean, I've worked with 70-year-olds that are like, how did I not know that I needed this? Because you thought age promised maturity. And so you can absolutely take somebody who's a very, very immature age, teach them the concepts of emotional sobriety, and it just up levels them. It gives them so much more grounding. And, my daughter and I, she's 19, we've never had a fight. I mean, that's
God bless you.
kind of unheard of. And that doesn't mean either of us are perfect. It just means that the level of stability in our home is such that there's no need for it. So even if there's a hormonal swing in a young person, when you teach them how to look at the world, or how to navigate those sensations and not make it about something that's worst case scenario or something that's about their insecurities, they get out of this self-centered, self-obsessed state, and they just feel this freedom. They recognize, oh, I just have these hormones, or I'm just having these growing pains, or everyone around me is still struggling. They don't know emotional sobriety, so I'm not going to judge them. And so when you give that to a young person, no, they're not going to be like high level elite leaders immediately, because they still have a lot of brain formation that has to happen.
Right.
But they definitely are going to be great leaders in their age group.
Right. Well, so I generally tell people I'm 12, so you get 12-year-old Tim, and just kind of deal with that. But the idea that can happen at, like you said, seriously at a young age, and how much further ahead that puts them, like you said, from their peers, and how that opens them up to be able to take in other things. Because because when we're so in our own heads with whatever emotion it is, you take up that bandwidth for other things that are happening, and you lose those types of things.
Yeah, especially with kids that have like a lot of pressure on them, or they feel like they need to get into a certain college or do really well in an athletic event, or maybe they really want that for themselves. It creates this opening of their bandwidth or an increase of their bandwidth so that they can learn faster, they can retain longer, they can communicate more clearly, and their friend circles will do two things. One is it'll clear out any of the negative friendships, the inauthentic friendships immediately, which automatically clears their bandwidth and their athletic performance and all the things. And it will also make them the safest person in the group. And so their friends are going to have a person that they feel safe with. They're going to have a person where maybe they don't have supportive parents. Maybe they're totally alone in the world, but you're that one friend. Even if you're 14 years old, you've taken care of yourself. You have this level of maturity that far outweighs how old you are. And even though you don't have all the answers yet, you can be a really stabilizing chemical for them. Like your chemistry is so balanced. Your internal chemistry is so balanced. And so I jokingly say this, but this is actually true when I think about it. I'm in the mistake minimization business.
Wow.
And so if we can learn that early, can you imagine? You say you're a 12-year-old, which I get what you mean by that. You're childlike, you're joyful, your sense of humor is on point, but you don't want to be a 12-year-old in terms of emotional maturity, right? So I know what you're saying is very different, but I want to teach kids how to be, very, very accelerated in their maturity, emotionally speaking, and see the world with more compassion and less self-centeredness. And so that's absolutely a possibility. But can you think about this? Think about making the mistakes that you've made in your life, and no shame, because I've made so many. We could have a whole other session just on Andrea's mistakes. But imagine that. Imagine knowing how to not hurt other people.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Cats, this ad is for you. Has your human ever called you picky, persnickety, choosy? If so, Perfect Bistro Cat Food is for you. With ingredients like wild-caught tuna and pasture-raised lamb, tantalizing textures, and delectable flavors that meet even the most discerning cat standards. You're not picky, you're just perfectionists. Perfect Bistro, mealtime perfection for every cat. Have your human visit perfectbistro.com.
From a young age.
And we hurt people on purpose sometimes. And so we're going the exact, especially we hurt the people that are the closest to us, that are people that are in our inner circle. Those are the ones that we hurt the most. So if we could go to the opposite end of that spectrum, just imagine what can happen.
Yeah. I mean, I work with leaders, I work with high achievers, I work with couples, individuals. It doesn't matter who you are, because like you said in the beginning, everyone has emotions. So it's the same way, like if you recognize your specific pathway of what makes you lose it, of what makes you feel angry, offended, sad, frustrated, embarrassed, guilty, whatever it is, if you can find that mechanism and specifically train it, it's no different than training a muscle in the gym. I promise you this. It hurts the same. It takes as much work, and you will have as fast results. Trust me. So if I'm in the mistake minimization business, then I'm working with these leaders. They make more mistakes than you would even imagine because they've never been taught this. So we're still all kind of 12-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 5-year-olds, but our meat just kept growing. Like we're just bigger forms. Right. We're just bigger forms. And we're expected to be these, very mature, very balanced people, but we've never been taught. And so we talk about this a lot, about like how we get a license to get a gun, we get a license to drive a car, but we never get a license to be a parent.
No.
We don't get a license, like a real training license to get married. But our relationships, like you said, we hurt the people we love the most, the worst. But I think it's also fair to say, and listen to me, lean in, if you're a parent or a spouse, I think it's actually true that we hurt the people who love us the most, the worst.
Say that again. I think that's important. Say it again.
Yeah, we hurt the people that love us the most, the worst. And think about that. Who here's ever hurt their mom? Your mom probably.
Yeah.
Your mom loves you more than any human will ever love you. And We do. We, even from a young age, think about that. It's ingrained. We spill our milk. We go, Mom. We blame our mom for the mistakes we make. We do the same thing when we grow up. We do this with our children, do this to their parents. We do it to our spouses because we have this safety or this sensation of, oh, they're not going anywhere. I can be lazy with them. I don't have to monitor how I present myself. I don't have to be on. If there's a place that you should be on, it's at home. That
Right.
should be your primary place that you are on. You are hyper-focused. You are intentional. You're thinking about every word that comes out of your mouth because those are the most important relationships. But we're so obsessed with money and growth in the career. And I get it. It's what we're kind of driven into a corner right now in our economy. But it's like we're so driven in the wrong, maybe not the wrong places, but in an imbalanced way. And so when we come home, we're exhausted and we're lazy.
You touched on it a little bit here. If you go back and look at society, you know, from the 60s backwards, you know, our things were very different, right? You know, the one income households, you know, the man in the house or the husband worked, the wife or the mom stayed home, took care of things, and really was the person that ran the house that you know, taught the kids, raised the kids up, and those things. And now it's more along the lines of we're driven to the monetary things. Things are so expensive. Parents are gone. Kids are in daycare or they're in school. They spend maybe 1 or 2 hours at home. So you don't have those close emotional bonds like we used to have.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no one ever, has anyone ever sat you down and taught you emotional regulation?
No.
Has
Never.
anybody ever sat down and told you why you're feeling something specifically, what you're doing after you feel that emotion to protect yourself, and how to change it? No. So that's what I'm saying. We're not given basic skills. We're taught how to clean sometimes. We're taught how to do our laundry sometimes. We're taught how to drive. We're taught how to, you know, maybe perform an exercise correctly at the gym, but no one really teaches you why you're having the emotion other than, oh, you've had trauma. Okay. And, oh, here's the reason that you're reacting that way. Okay. I'll give you that. But that's not enough.
Right.
I really, you know, my second book is called The Composure Challenge. I'm just releasing that here. I've not told people that yet, but it's called The Composure Challenge because I really want people to feel that call to really wake up and be better for the world. Like, I want people to recognize, I've been a little bit stuck. I've been a little bit reactive. I've been a little negative. I've been not as intentional with my relationships as I could have been in this whole time. And I'm speaking from experience, so no judgment or shame. The whole time I'm blaming everyone else. Because when I'm in an emotion, I'm experiencing chemistry. Let's just call it what it is. I'm experiencing chemistry. Can you think of any chemistry or chemical that you might ingest that would make you drunk?
Alcohol.
Perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions are chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lot of emotion, you're going to act the same way as if you were drunk on alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay. And depending on how much emotion there is or how much practice you have, the same severity. And so I want you guys to understand that you can become drunk on your emotions and you also become addicted to them. Not because you like it. I don't know a lot of real alcoholics that are like, I love being an alcoholic.
No.
It doesn't mean you like it. I've never met a real drug addict that said, I'm having the best life.
Right.
Okay. When you're an addict, you've lost the power of choice. Your body has, especially in emotional insobriety is what I call it. Your body has made this emotion or these emotions so many times that it now thinks it's you. It thinks it's supposed to continue to make them. That's why you can wake up with a panic attack. Your body just makes the emotion. You wake up, you match it with a thought.
That's an interesting concept because, again, something I never thought about. You know, why is it that my thought now is, why is it that we wake up the way that we do, either in a good mood or a bad mood, or automatically upset because of something that hasn't even happened yet, or something that happened yesterday, and you're already starting your day off in a bad mood. That's air fingers quote bad mood, when you don't have to necessarily be doing that.
No, not at all. That's what I really want to give leaders. It's like that necessary wake up call, looking at what you're actually doing and why, and how you might be blinded or behind a veil of what you're actually doing, because everyone feels justified in their emotional state. Everybody does. You're fighting with your partner, or you're fighting with someone at work or online. Both of you feel the exact same chemistry, and you're both drunk, and you both feel justified. And you're both right in some way. If I were to live in your shoes, let me tell you something, Tim. If I were to have had your entire life, if I were you, if I looked through the world from those eyes, and I had the same experiences, and I had the same beliefs, I had the same conditioning, I had the same early age traumas, the same programming, I watched the same shows, I have the same relationships, I would feel offended, hurt, betrayed, sad, afraid about the exact same things.
Right.
So we are all the same. It's very important that you understand this. Next time you're thinking about getting in a fight with somebody, or feeling offended by something, or feeling afraid or anxious. I love that you speak about confidence, speaking with confidence, because really that fear is such an illusion.
Right.
It's a chemical based on the past. Okay, it's based on, oh no, I'm not good enough, therefore people will judge me. You see how we're so stuck in the center of self. So what you're bringing to the world is so important. If you don't work with Tim yet, you should work with Tim. Be a better speaker, because this is the thing. You have something important to say, but I would say your own belief system around who you are and how you're not good enough is keeping your unique gift from the world. And so it's just a great example of emotional insobriety. It's emotions do not make great decision makers.
Yeah.
I get so excited about this topic, by the way. So sorry if I go all over the place. But
no, I love the idea, because number one, it's so true, and it affects everybody, and it's something that we never talk about. It's just kind of we just kind of brush it aside.
Because we don't know what to do.
Right.
We're hopeless. We're helpless and we're hopeless.
We're helpless and hopeless.
Have you been in a fight with somebody and felt like, why are we even doing this? Let's just break up. You don't actually say that because you don't love the person anymore. You say that because you're helpless and hopeless about changing. So what if you could? My husband and I have a great marriage retreat or a course that you could take virtually called Mission-Based Marriage. And we do it for couples. We do it for singles. We do it for co-parents. It doesn't matter your relationship, but we teach people how to get emotionally sober and several other things within that specific relationship, so that you don't have to be helpless and hopeless anymore.
Yeah. I love that you're tying it into the idea of sober, because people understand what that means.
Yeah. Well, think about,
It's very clear what that means.
Very clear. And here's the thing, we're always evolving as a species and in technology, but we're not really evolving in maturity.
Right.
So
I think we're going backwards. I think we're actually going backwards.
Yeah. And I think that's probably by design. I could go on and on about that, but I really want to call people up to more impeccable maturity. Like, there's always more room on the barbell when you're getting stronger. There's always more room in maturity. I call it untapped maturity. Because I work with really high level leaders. I work with very high performers. I've worked with 100 millionaires, and all of them needed emotional sobriety. And they were all shocked at how badly they needed it. Right. So once you can see the little secrets behind the emotions, you have this huge upgrade automatically. Like, have you ever had an argument with your spouse or with somebody in your life where you're like, where did that come from?
Yes.
Like, we're in totally different dimensions right now.
And I don't want to give out, too much personal information here, but my wife and I had that conversation yesterday.
Yes. And you will again tomorrow.
Probably. Yes.
Yeah. And
Probably,
that's
yes.
why we feel helpless and hopeless. This is awesome, Tim. So this is a great example. The reason you feel like you're in totally different dimensions and the realities are completely different. And this is where a lot of people will say, you're gaslighting me, you're gaslighting me. But most people aren't really gaslighting you. They truly feel you're in a different reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's in their head that it didn't happen because you're looking through a different set of filters, different set of eyes, different experiences, different beliefs, different mechanism that we'll talk about later. And both of you have motive. So motive is this very secret, hidden, sneaky thing that we all have when we're emotional. And it's kind of, I call it your intoxicated identity. This is the identity that comes out when you're emotional. It's, you become a Hulk version of yourself, for lack of a better term. You're hulking out with your partner. Somebody might be sobbing. Somebody might be screaming. Somebody might be checking out or running away. Doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's the same reaction to a chemical. So motive is in that moment. Let's say your wife's standing behind you and she's sitting there. She's waiting. Maybe she believes she's not important. And so she's waiting for you to notice her or acknowledge. She's looking for where she's not important. She's looking for it. She's not looking for, man, that's my husband. I'm so important to him. She's looking for where she's not important. And I'm not saying that this is your wife, but everybody. Right. So if her motive in that moment is to prove that she's not important to you. And so she's going to stop me like, I've been standing here for 15 minutes and you didn't even notice. You didn't turn around. You didn't say hi. You didn't even say hi when you came home. She's looking for where she's unimportant. Her motive then in that moment is to catch you, to test you, to kind of trick you, to get you in trouble with her, to create some kind of a conflict so she can feel something from you so that it'll stop you in your tracks. Like, no, you are important to me. We do this all the time. We do this in every relationship. Doesn't matter if you're a high-level executive or if you're a mommy of 2 little babies. We all have motive when we're emotional. Yeah. And so we all have different motive, but it's all the same mechanism. And that's why I want you to get, before you start judging someone else, catch yourself. That's why my work is so individually focused. Yeah. It's like self-help on steroids. It's not what you think. It's like, I can't even look at my partner. I have to only look at me. Because marriages, all relationships are only healed through an individual.
I'm glad you said that, because as soon as we start looking at the other person, we're not truly addressing whatever the issue is. True growth only comes from you as an individual. You can't control what somebody else says, does, or what have you. You have to look inside to yourself, and I don't want to say necessarily fix yourself, but figure out whatever that is and be better. Do something differently. Try something else. You can't do better yourself by making it somebody else's fault or somebody else's problem.
You just nailed it. You nailed it. Because I love what you said too, that it's not about fixing yourself. Mm-hmm. It's about training. That's right. It. It's so simple. In fact, when I meet somebody who's just totally belligerent, like they're screaming at someone in the parking lot, I'll turn to my husband and be like, they just need a little training. That's all. They have no idea. They have no idea. If I had 3 weeks with them, they would have a completely different reality and they wouldn't be so stuck. I love this because I think about, and I want to say this as nicely as I can, because I don't mean it judgmentally. As human beings, based on this conversation that we've had so far, we can agree we're a little bit less intelligent than we think.
Yes. And
we're a lot more unhinged than we really know. If I were to take a video of you, at your worst moments, all of us would look like the craziest people in the world. Like we would all be institutionalized if we took the worst moments of our lives. So let's just level the playing field. But I want you to think about this. We're not using effective strategies in relationships because we're so intoxicated on emotion. We're so trapped in the center of ourselves and what everything means about us and our insecurities. And we're so offended and we're looking for everybody to do things the way we want them to do them and say things the way we want them to say them. There's no freedom in our relationships to be ourselves. We're like flies trying to get out the window. You know, we just keep bumping into the window. Like, why can't this work? Maybe if I go harder next time, maybe if I yell louder, maybe if I make you feel even more ashamed, then you'll hear me. It's never going to work. The only way to get stronger or better at anything is through training. Mm-hmm. That's it.
As you're saying those things, I've got my thoughts
running
through my head. And I'm thinking about those times that I've been there, and nobody wants to see the worst of anybody, right? But nobody truly wants to see the worst of me, ever. Even I don't want to see it, and
well, that's why I quit.
You know, and how ashamed I am when I look back and say, "Oh my God, I really did that." And now you got to go clean up that damage. You've got to go make amends, you know, for, you know, using the whole idea of sobriety. You've got a lot of work to do over, it could only be 10 seconds. It could take you years and years and years to clean up that damage.
Yeah. Building
over
trust.
10 seconds. Yeah.
Well, that's why I say I'm in the mistake minimization business, because mistakes are very costly. Right. And so when you think about this, it's like, okay, if I know that my self-centeredness or this belief that I have about myself has caused this much damage, if I know that drinking alcohol, which for me, it absolutely does cause so much damage, I would just stop doing it. I would do anything that I could to abstain from the chemical that caused the harm. Because like you said, and by the way, there's so much work that needs to be done if you have a lot of shame about your past. Because that shame will put you in an emotional state that makes you make more mistakes. So we have to abstain from the negative emotions that are creating the harm in the first place. The same way, if you know you drink, every time you drink, you do something to your wife that's totally unforgivable, you would stop doing it.
Right.
You would stop doing it. And if you're an addict, truly, if you feel like I can't stop, you would separate from that relationship for a second. So there's safety. And you would go do the work to no longer have that chemical in your body.
Yeah.
I think about anger. I think about shame. I think about embarrassment or fear. And I think of it as an IV drip in your arm. If you knew right now that I had an IV full of anger, would you allow it in your body?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Not happening.
So I want to arm people with the ability to say no to those emotional states. And to actually understand that you can make it not so that you have to think about it all the time. Like, oh no, I can't get angry right now. It's you don't even think to get angry because you've done the training to look at the world and look at yourself and look at your partner or your career from such a different lens that your maturity way outranks any negative emotion. Any negative. And when I think about my past, again, I've made so many mistakes, but I've done what it takes to be the best version I can be today. And so that allows me to not have shame about the past. I'm so open and vulnerable about the things that I've done. I don't feel embarrassed about what I've done. I'm like, hey, my mistakes were valuable because now I can sit down with you in humility and say, wow, you did that. I hear you. I get it.
Right.
Oh man, me too. I've done things like that. Or here's why you made that mistake. And here's why it will happen again if we don't train this.
Yeah, and that's getting people to understand what you just said is also not only so important, but it's also very difficult for them to acknowledge and accept that. Okay, you know, it's owning it, taking that step forward, and then letting it go. It's a whole idea. You know, we talk about forgiveness, right? A lot of times people talk about forgiveness. It's not for the other people. It's for you. It's so that you can let things go and you can have have that burden lifted. And we're always so, and I'm one of them, to be honest with you, always so reluctant to ever forgive yourself. And once you do that, it opens up so many more pathways. You're open to so many more things, just like what you're talking about right here. Yeah. Well, we don't forgive ourselves because we're so self-centered.
Right.
Right.
And so we don't forgive ourselves because we're so self-centered. we don't recognize how much value we would add to the world if we did anything it took to forgive ourselves or other people. Anything that it took. So my third book, that second book that's coming out the end of the year, is about forgiveness. It's all about advanced practices in emotional sobriety, and forgiveness is absolutely an advanced practice. Because if you can't even not get offended right now, like in the political climate or with something your spouse says, you're not ready for forgiveness. That's a leap from where you are now. But we can absolutely get there quickly. I like to tell people, I think within 1 year, you can reach the pinnacle of your maturity. I mean, there's always more, but like the highest level you've ever been, and have forgiven every single person in your life that ever was in your life. Be prepared to pre-forgive everybody that's coming, and forgive yourself for the things you've done. Total freedom. I mean, think about the energy that brings back to your life.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd probably, if you're listening right now, you might have extra body fat. You might feel like not very strong in your body. You might have some disorder in your body. You might have unstable relationships. You might have a self-limiting thing in your career where you just won't let yourself move forward. And all of those things are happening because so much of your energy is consumed through your emotional mechanism, through the things that you're thinking about that are creating the emotion, or the emotions that are creating the thing that you're thinking about. And so when you change that, your whole life comes back to you.
It's like a never-ending cycle, though. Once, if you can't change it, it's not only a never-ending cycle, but every time it goes around, it gets worse. It gets worse and gets worse and gets worse.
I love that you said that, because the intro of my second book is about the blind spots of emotions. People don't understand how dangerous emotions are because we're so put to sleep around this. We're thinking, oh, I have a right to be angry. Of course you have a right to be angry. But if you really knew on a cellular level what that anger was doing, you would immediately stop. You would do anything you could to change that. If you knew that 5 years later, it would cause this cancer, or it would cause diabetes, or it would cause this habit that caused diabetes, or it would cause this breakup, or it would cause hurting your kid, you would instantly remove it if you saw it from a genuinely real angle, waking up to the fact that this is harmful. You know, modern science talks about how stress, and let's just call it what it is, emotions, are the number one creator of disease. Like, that's it. So if we eliminated our ability to be stressed, doesn't that sound crazy? But it's true. Like, ask me, I don't feel stressed. I have like 4 jobs. I have a kid. I have a husband. I mean, I've got a lot of relationships. I'm a leader of a global movement. I don't feel stressed. I have total command of my emotional state. That took me a while to get there. But you can sober up emotionally speaking really quickly. And all it takes is this flip of a switch where suddenly you see the world from a totally different way. And that's why the forgiveness module is so important, because it lets you see people in such a different way that you almost like pre-forgive them. You know that they're going to be flawed because humans are flawed. People do really horrible things if we're going to judge. Right? Raising my hand. Yet we're all redeemable. I truly believe that. All of us. So if you can find any kind of compassion for someone in your life that's hurt you, it's one, you're going to be able to do it for yourself when I have enough time with you. The second one is going to be that when you offer that to somebody else, they're way less likely to make that same mistake again. The grace that comes from that, it's like I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's way more likely. If you had an affair on your partner, let's say, and you come to them, and you're like, I did this, I'm fully confessing. And if they forgive you, it might take them a couple of years, but if they forgive you, there's so much love and selflessness and grace in that. Even if you separate, if they forgive you, that you're just you get humbled to a point where you're like, wow, somebody could love me even though that happened. I must be lovable. I must have something to offer the world. And you know what? I'm going to sharpen that blade. I'm going to make that an even better version of myself so that I don't ever do that again.
So when you're working with these high performers, you've got to see some patterns, some repeatable patterns. You know, what are the most common addictions that you're seeing that are the real problems?
So the most common addiction is just everybody has the same, by the way. Like it really all comes down. Yeah. We're all the same. We're all the same.
Okay.
We have slightly different flavors of the exact same mechanism. So let's talk about this. So let's say I'm sitting with a 60-year-old executive. That person was at one time a 5-year-old boy. Let's just say that. So they're not like these big scary monsters that they seem to want to portray. Like they're not. They're just people. They're human beings. Or if you work with a celebrity, they were once a little kid. You know, we're all just the same mechanism of what creates us, and then we keep growing. And so when you're sitting with these people, like you said, they have to perform. They have to be something that maybe they don't have the skills, but they know how to act.
Okay.
They don't know how to not be angry, but they know how to act like they're not angry. Sometimes it gets to be too much. But most of the time, if you're asking me, it's the mechanism of they have a belief system, the way that they look at things, okay, that makes them flood with emotions. They've made those emotions so many times that their body and their brain just work on autopilot and can create it all day long. Okay. Once those emotions are in their body, they are intoxicated. And when you're intoxicated, you act like a fool. In some way, you hurt yourself or you hurt someone else. That's usually what we do. Or you're limited in some way. So once I'm in that space and I'm acting that way, those are called emotionally triggered behaviors. They're behaviors that follow an emotion. The same way, if I just drank at a bar, I had 3 martinis and I drive in my car, I'm going to get in an accident. Okay. I'm going to scream at the bartender. Maybe I'm going to hit my husband or something when I get him on pick a fight. I'm behaving from a place of intoxication. I'm not me anymore. I don't have intention around my behaviors. I don't have the power of choice around my behaviors. Those all have motive. We talked about motive earlier. Every behavior that you demonstrate when you're emotional, there is a motive. So ask yourself this question. If you know that you yell, if you know that you avoid, if you know that you're a runner, if you know that you overeat, if you know that you drink to escape, ask yourself, what am I hoping to accomplish by using this behavior?
Wow. Okay.
That's motive. And we talked about a wife earlier sitting behind her husband going, he's not even looking at me. He won't even talk to me. He's thinking about work or something, or he's thinking about something, and she's thinking about herself and how unimportant she is. And that creates the conflict. He might be thinking what a loser he is. I don't know. But everyone's thinking about their own reality and then become emotional and reactive to that reality. So that motive is, what am I hoping to accomplish? I'm standing behind my husband because I'm hoping to accomplish, one, some kind of connection, or I'm going to control his behavior and get him to see me, or I'm going to test him and see if he sees me. So there's a motive there.
Yeah.
That's the mechanism. I call that your anatomy of your emotional insobriety. So anatomy, what is it? It's a bunch of different pieces that come together and make a whole, right? So our anatomy is our belief system, our emotional state that comes from that, our behaviors that follow the emotion or intoxication, and the motive for those behaviors. When you can see those clear as day, you now have a training plan. Now, in my work, most of the leaders that come to me struggle with either fear as their primary center, don't even know it. It actually looks like anger on the outside because we get defensive and childish and judgmental and all those things. But really, it's either fear or sadness. Fear, sadness, and embarrassment are probably the top 3 emotions that we really feel as humans. Fear, sadness, and embarrassment.
Wow.
And all of us will be like, I just get so angry. Promise you, it's almost never anger. So emotional intelligence is very important. But we're not even good at that. We have so much work to do as human beings. Emotional intelligence is like the awareness that emotions exist.
Right.
It's awareness that they even are there and that they're present in other people also. And that you're not the only person in the world, right? So emotional intelligence, I think of as like this global overarching theme of there's awareness of emotion. Okay. And maybe there's some suppression or like shifting of your behavior, or your attitude in the moment. If you're pretty advanced in that, but emotional sobriety.
I'm Livy Dunn, All-American gymnast and Viore athlete. When you travel and train as much as I do, you find happiness where you are. On the mat or on the sand, movement and comfort are essential. That's why I live in Performance Joggers by Viore. Made from DreamKnit fabric that's made of 89% recycled materials, effortlessly soft and made to move as much as I do. My happiness starts here, in the softest joggers on the planet. Get 20% off your first purchase at vuori.com/Livy. That's VUORI.com/LIVVY. Exclusions apply. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to vuori.com/Livy and discover the full versatility of Viore clothing. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions.
Is the removal of that emotion altogether. So you can still be joyful. You can still have gratitude. You can still be excited. You can still be you in your personality. Like you said, like I'm a 12-year-old, like I'm having fun in life. Right. And I might make silly jokes and those things, but my anger, my embarrassment, my sadness, my fear, they shouldn't even be existent. That's emotional sobriety. It's like the difference between drinking alcohol, all right, is I'm obviously not sober. Not drinking alcohol is called sober. But I believe that it just means that you're clean off of alcohol.
Right.
True sobriety is there's not a chemical in my body that creates belligerence. And that's emotional. Because I can be unsober and not drink alcohol. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. I could get pulled over for driving erratically when I'm in a fight with somebody, can't I?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I'm drunk. So I really want people to understand that. We have to take more initiative around this. And that's my entire goal in my career. I started out as a doctor of chiropractic. I've been doing it for almost 21 years now. And I love being a chiropractor. I love the instantaneous relief I can bring to people. And I'll probably always do it on some level. I love working with my hands. But the power of the transformation that happens when we remove the mechanism that creates our negative emotion, which cause harm, it's like heaven on earth.
So let me switch directions for a second, because I've been thinking about this, but wasn't planning on going down this road. Difference between our why and our purpose. And I know you do a lot of work in the whole purpose space.
Yes.
You just said something that made me really want to ask this question. You love being a chiropractor. You love working with your hands. You'll probably always do something with that. Talk about the difference between your why and your purpose, and why that's important for people to understand. There is a difference, and you have to lean in and know what both of those are to truly be effective.
Yeah. So I would say your purpose is your unique design. I worked with a company called The Purpose Company. They're great. And we actually partnered with them and became licensed facilitators of their process. And so one thing that they say is they define purpose as the best of what you have to help others. The best of what you have to help others, not just stuff that you're kind of good at. It's literally a part of your unique design. So for example, my purpose is I'm a builder. I want to create big movements. I'm always thinking about business ideas. Like I have really big ideas that are bigger than like, oh, I'm going to make, I'm going to take this paper clip, but maybe that can put these together. Like, I'm not as nuanced as that. I think about big picture solutions. My second step of my purpose is I'm a problem solver. I'm just naturally given this gift of solving big global problems, the problems that people don't want any part of. In fact, when I talk to people like, how did you get involved in this? This is so exhausting. Like, how could you want to sit with people in their belligerence and their emotional, like, selfishness and all this? And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding? It's my favorite. Like, I love big problems that I get to solve. So those two things in themselves make me a little bit of a different person. They make me a little intense, right? They make me stand out. Like, people are like, wow, she's a lot, like there's a lot going on. So you have to, be unique. I'm an acquired taste, if you will. But so those are just two pieces of my purpose. And then there's another two segments also. One is about my acquired skills. So like becoming a chiropractor was something that I acquired over time, or learning about the human experience by virtue of sitting with thousands of people and figuring out their emotional mechanisms, only to lead to me to realize we're all the same. And then the last piece is your origin strength. And your origin strength is like how you deal with hard things, how you deal specifically with hard things in a positive way. So not like, well, I fight, but like maybe you become very present. Right? So present is my unique origin strength. It's how I deal with hardship. So my why is a little bit different because it really is based off more of where my heart center is. It's based on like what's important to me. Like what is it's a part of my purpose, but it's like a sub segment of my purpose. It matches my purpose, but it's not my purpose. Right. So I see a person's injured body. Okay. Let's say somebody comes to me who can't walk because their back is totally locked up and it's been like that for 20 years. I'm like, oh yes, I'm going to instantly take action because that's how my purpose is designed. I want to go now. I'm going to take care of it right now. I'm going to do it as fast as possible. So some chiropractors will see their doctor 3 times a week for 6 months. I'm like, I want to fix you today. Like, how can we make it so you never have to see me again?
So,
you send me everything.
Right.
So
it's not a good business model for you, but that's really.
But it's my purpose.
I get it.
I can't not do it. Yeah,
right.
I can't not do it. And so I'm sitting there, and now as a problem solver, part of my purpose, I'm thinking, how do I solve this huge problem? And because I'm a builder, as quickly as possible. And so those two things are my purpose, but my why is this person is suffering and I'm going to remove that suffering. That's my why. I want to remove needless suffering. That's my why. Needless suffering.
Yeah.
Needless. There's so many of us are just suffering. And like you said, doing the same thing over and over. It's needless.
As I'm listening and getting to know you better, it makes so much sense. It's natural, right? Things just fall into place. And I'm saying this to the listeners to understand something here. You can have a why, but if you don't have a purpose, you're going to be lost.
If you don't know
you
your
can
purpose.
have a purpose, and you don't have a why, you're going to be lost. You have to.
Yeah.
You have
Do
to have
you
both.
Do you think that your why comes from your personal individual struggles? Like, and when I think about it, I think I'm an emotional sobriety expert because I was the worst. I was the most emotionally unsober. People don't believe me when I say this. Like, I was so emotionally unsober. I was probably the most immature, childish, jealous, dishonest.
No.
Name it. No, you win? Okay.
I win.
All right. We're exactly the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was terrible. And like I said, very not qualified to be in a romantic relationship and probably to be a mother. And I'm thinking, okay, my kid's going to think like me, feel like me, act like me. She's going to have the same problems that I do unless I fix this and give her something to kind of anchor to or something to build off of. And so I think uniquely, I had a really severe spinal injury at one time. So I get it. I also was an athlete and I was injured a lot and I wanted to play my sport. So I get it. And so that's my why as a doctor. That's my why. When someone comes to me, I'm like, hey, I get it. You're struggling. You're hurting. Maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe you just feel frustrated that you can't do the things you want to do. You can't even like sit down and pick up your grandkid. I get it. Because that's my why, because I've been there. And with emotional sobriety, I don't have any judgment for people who are currently struggling. That's why leaders come to me, because they're like, okay, you're humble. You're not going to judge me. You're also going to be discreet and not tell people like I'm struggling with this. And my why is I was there, buddy. I didn't know how to do it either. And now I'm free. It's like if I live on one side of the mountain, okay, Tim, let's say you and I are neighbors. And we sit on this side of the mountain and it is horrible conditions. And we don't really think anything of it because we've kind of adapted. We're like, yeah, it's, 12 degrees over here. There's not a lot of food. People are dying. We're sick all the time. We're all miserable because there's no sunlight. And then I get up and I'm like, I'm going to go find a different way. And I walk for a year and I find the other side of the mountain. And on the other side of the mountain is this flowing rivers and sunlight. And there's birds singing and people are loving each other and no one's sick. And I come back, I go, Tim, come here. I got a great place. Come with me. Come follow me to this place. I've been there. It's so much better. I think that is my why. And I use my purpose to do it. And so we teach people, what's your unique purpose? We'll find it. What's your why? And how do you get emotionally sober? How do you get physical command over your body? That's super important. And we could do a whole other hour on that one day. And you have to have some kind of spiritual connection. I think. Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. Otherwise your why is never strong enough. I don't think. And forgive me if I get this completely wrong, and I probably will, but I think it was Rory Vaden who said, you're most uniquely qualified to help the person you once were.
Yes.
And, as you look back, and again, I'm saying this to the listeners for them to understand, it doesn't really matter where you are now. If you're interested and open to going from where you are to where your why is or what your purpose is, it can happen, but you have to be open to it. You have to be willing to do the work, to do those things, because it doesn't just happen. You've got to be intentional about it. And that's one of the things that we've talked a lot about here. It's not something that's just, you're going to wake up tomorrow just because you want to.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different.
I'll tell you, I could get teary-eyed talking about this because for me, it's like I didn't have a map. I tried everything, books, meditation, therapy, and I would feel better for a moment. It gives you skills in the moment to regulate your emotions, right? To feel a little bit blissed out. But I wanted to feel like I was in a meditative state while I was talking to my husband. I wanted to feel like I was unassailable when I was working. I wanted to feel confident everywhere I went. And that took a lot of effort and time. And I feel like I have it narrowed down to such a razor's edge now to get people the fastest results. That is so exciting to me, because it's like whatever you're struggling with right now, when you figure out how to get through that, that is the biggest thing that you have to offer the world. The biggest thing. Suffering is not for nothing. It's very valuable. Mistakes are not for nothing. They're very valuable. And when you get emotionally sober, you start to see with so much more clarity. I've had so many of my clients are like, oh my God, I'm going to write a book now. I started a new business. I believe in God for the first time in my life. I actually love myself, or I want to be single now. And before I was obsessed with with the fact that I was alone. I wanted a partner. Now I'm like, I'm good. I've had people find like their soulmates right after working with me because they're at a level of vibration that's so attractive, and they're matching somebody who's also done work on themselves. So the relationship just works, and I'm always like, be careful. Those first 3 months are an illusion, but
well, think about it. When as an alcoholic, you're told as you're going through the 12 steps that don't enter into a relationship. It's you're not ready. You're not. And you shouldn't get into a relationship with somebody who's an alcoholic because they're not ready for it. That's the reason. That's part of the reason, right?
Well, I love that you brought up Alcoholics Anonymous because they are, it's the greatest of all, I think, that we've ever had before. One of the things I did was I read the AA book for help with emotions. And I'm like, this is incredible, but what's next? And that's what I wanted to do. Well, what you're describing right there, they're right about everything. But when you're describing right there is behind every skirt is a slip. That's the way they say it. Behind every skirt is a slip. And they don't mean that in a derogatory way. What they're talking to, you have to understand at that time, they're talking to men because there wasn't out at least that there was a lot of women that were alcoholics. So this is really men talking to men. And they're saying, be super careful because if you go follow a girl, what's it going to do? It's going to put you into attention seeking behavior. Mm-hmm. You're going to get emotionally intoxicated. You're going to get scared, hurt. You're going to become more maybe embarrassed about something. You're going to go through all the emotions that only a romantic relationship can bring. And when you do that, what's our reason for drinking, guys? It's emotions.
Emotions, right.
So what they're saying is until you're emotionally sober, until you're mature. In fact, Bill Wilson actually says, he coined the term emotional sobriety, by the way. I didn't. People always think I did. I'm like, no, Bill Wilson did. He said, physical abstinence isn't enough. What we're missing is a certain maturity level, maybe even emotional sobriety.
So again, full disclosure, I've got somebody who's very, very close to me, who's an alcoholic, very close to me. She's 10 years sober, thank God. And you're saying terms that we've had discussions about. This person and me. And as you talk about it, these two things, whether you're an alcoholic, whether you're a drug addict, whether you're an emotional aholic, which we all are.
Yes.
It's if you look at it from that perspective, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It really and truly does. I'll leave it at that. It's, if you're an alcoholic or drug addict or it doesn't matter, gamblers, sex, whatever addiction you have, because we all have, I truly believe that outside of emotions, I truly believe that every single person has some addiction.
I call it a secondary addiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's food. Mine is food.
Okay.
Okay. I know what it is.
Yeah.
I'd love to stop it. I really would. But whatever, if you understand it, number one, identifying the problem is the first step.
Yeah.
It's always the first step.
Yeah.
And second step is to do something about it. And the way it's laid out, if you can do that, all these things start to make sense. Like you said, it's all, food is a chemical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Puts you in rest and digest.
Right. It's all these things. And the way you've broken this down over the last hour it's been very eye-opening for me, even from the other things we've talked about it and the things I know about, just it's simple. If you think about it, it's simple.
That's what I want to make it.
The work is hard. Let's not
simple, not easy. Simple, not easy.
Right. Okay. Simple, not easy.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be willing to do the work.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one more question before we go, because one of the other things that I think we both believe in is continuous improvement.
Yeah, we do.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Yep.
What's one blind spot you're still working on?
For me?
Yes.
Ooh, It's such a good question. Well, I'm sure there's a blind spot I don't even see. That's why it's a blind spot. But if I have to think about it, I would say it might still be around my ultimate worth financially. My ultimate worth. Because when I think about the transformations I give people, I've had people say like, I would have paid $200,000 for that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to charge $200,000. Like I feel like I still have this spot in me that wants to offer it to everybody and like give it. So I have to figure that out for me. That's a great question. How about you?
Do?
Is it mostly
first? I had that conversation with a very, very good friend of mine yesterday. We're kind of accountability partners. So we talk every other week. And I told her that one of the things that I struggle with, and this is it. I've been a teacher almost my entire adult life.
Yeah.
Everything that I have ever done, I've given away.
Right. Which is also not doing a service to other people. That's right. Something
that's exactly what she said. That's exactly what she said. People
who pay attention. The people who've paid me the most got the best results.
How about that? And that's intellectually, I know that.
Yeah. I'll prove it to you right now. So if I said, here's the thing, if you don't know how to get somewhere, you will get there 100% and faster if you go with somebody who's been there.
Yes.
So you're talking about food addiction. This is super easy. I have an exact map for you to overcome food addiction and your whole financial block. I feel like I've done so well, by the way, you guys, with my financial block. It's so much better than it used to be, but there's always more you can do, you know? But for you, if I say, I'm going to give you this map, Tim, you don't have to pay me anything. I'm going to give you this map. Or I'm going to give you this map, Tim. It's going to be $15,000. You are 100% more likely to do it if you pay me.
Yes.
If I gave it to you right now, it would be the exact same map. Exactly. You wouldn't even open the email, probably. But if you invest, you're like, man, okay, this now has value. I'm involved. I put myself in this already, and I'm not going to waste it. And you're going to have you would get this. If you had a shepherd holding your hand, walking you to the end point, you would have to ask yourself, is this something I really want? Do I want to go to the other side of the mountain, or am I just want to stay here? Because that's okay too. But just know there's a solution if you do want to. But that's why I want you to start thinking about when you're working with people, you have so much to offer. And if they can't do it because they don't pay you.
Right.
They can't. Being won't do it. They just won't.
I'm hurting them. Unless you give me money, I'm hurting you. So it's
100%. Yeah. And so I want you to think about everyone listening to this who's having a financial blocker on what they do. How many emails have you received that were free? That gave you some kind of a blueprint, some kind of a something, and you didn't even open it.
Didn't even open it. Yep.
You were excited about it in the moment. You're like, yeah, here's my email. I want that blueprint. And you're like, I'll look at it later. If you had paid $7,000 for that, it'd be framed on your wall. You'd be like, this is the art. This is all we're talking about.
Exactly. and that's my struggle.
Well,
because
not for long.
It's the ask, right? Because 2 weeks ago, a friend called and said, Tim, I'm struggling with this. And I said, I can help you if you want. He said, yeah. And so I gave him the framework. He said, thanks. And off he went. And I was like, I do that all the time.
What's missing then is if someone's not contracted with you as their coach, they're not going to get far. So for example, the money element is what gives them the hand holding. Okay, now you're going to do this, honey. Now we're going to step to this. Now we got to push a little bit here. If they don't have that, you're just kind of actually just sending them on the way and hoping they're going to know surprisingly, suddenly what you know. They don't know what you know. Just because you know it doesn't mean they know it. I know that's
exactly. I get it.
Even if you explain it to them, they're not going to get it. They need repetition. They need hand holding. They need your accountability. They need your support. I give my VIP clients Voxer support. I don't know if you guys know what Voxer is, but if you're a coach, you need it. Yeah. it is like a walkie-talkie on your phone. So if someone needs you, it doesn't matter if it's, 9:00 in the morning and you're doing something else, they can contact you. They don't have to wait a week till your next meeting. They got you right there. And especially that's important for confidence work and emotional sobriety work, or anyone. If you're a therapist, it's probably really good for you too. But like having access to your coach, there's nothing better than that. Like, you can't go to the next place. Like my husband's been a world-class physical training expert for 30 years. There's not going to be a better coach to have if you want to get physically different. Like if you want to be transformed physically, this guy's going to know exactly what to do, what not to do, how long it's going to take, what you're going to look like, what you should eat specifically. And he'll know how to do that instantaneously. That instantaneous mechanism happened because of 30 years of experience. That's what you pay for. He could tell me what to do. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Right. Same with emotional sobriety. If I tell somebody, you just need to do this, a lot of people are really, really well intentioned. They'll say things like, honey, you just need to let it go. Okay. My question was always, but how? How does one let it go? Let it go. Yeah. Right. No. And so what I do is like what you do. It's like, I walk you through the how. Mm-hmm. How do I quit food addiction? I don't get it. Like, yeah, I could just stop, but that's just going to be abstaining. You still have this underlying emotional thing that makes you want to eat in the first place.
And every time I walk by a cake, I'm like,
yeah. And there's going to be a point in your life. Everyone listen to this. We're going to use the food as an example. There'll be a point in your life where you walk past cake and you're like, I would never even touch that. Like, I can't believe people still eat that. You would have such a fundamental shift around how you look at it. You'd be like, okay, sugar is a physical, pleasurable experience. Everybody can say that. Everyone can admit it. Me too. I admit it. Sugar is a physical, pleasurable experience. When you know what sugar actually does in the body, the same way you know what anger actually does in the body, you would totally avoid it. You would be running for the hills. You would never give it to someone you loved. In fact, we have this thing in our family where like, birthdays come, there's never going to be a birthday cake. Because why would I give you poison for your birthday? I love you. It's never going to happen. So Tim, your birthday, you're getting something else. You're not getting a birthday cake. Right. But like, that's like from me, because I would care enough to not give you poison instead of thinking, well, it's tradition. You just have to have a complete paradigm shift around what you currently believe. Because if you think about getting somewhere requires a set of conditions and requirements. Mm-hmm. So if you are now at a body weight you don't like, or a health marker you don't like, or a confidence level you don't like, there were conditions and requirements you had to meet to get there. When we see those conditions and requirements, now we just replace those with different conditions and requirements. They're just as fun. Believe me. They're just as enthralling. Mm-hmm. You're going to be so into that. The same way you've been committed to this, you could be committed to that and be so into it. That's all. It needs a paradigm shift. My husband and I always talk about this. Like him and I co-teach together all the time. But one of the things he talks about is self-beliefs, training, and paradigm shifts. If you can shift your paradigm and then do the training around your self-beliefs, you'll have a completely different you. So fun. Yeah, and
that goes for anything, right? That's not just the physical appearance. That's not just the confidence to speak. That's just not emotional sobriety. That's anytime you want to make a change in anything.
Yeah,
that's the package.
That's it.
Now, what the pieces that go around that to make it happen is obviously different, but that's the package that has to be done.
So I love simplifying problem solving. I am a problem solver. And so for you, if you bring me a problem, I'm going to find the exact conditions and requirements that got you there and give you the exact replacements to get you somewhere else. That's the point I'm trying to make about expertise. Expertise is invaluable. It is priceless. That's why people say, I would have paid you 150, 200K for this. Like everything is different. I've made another $1 million in my company because of this. Like I was able to let go of these two people that I was afraid of letting go of because I didn't want them to be mad at me, for God's sake. That's costing you $120K a year times 2 for people that aren't bringing anything in. Like, come on now.
Right.
So getting them over their fear or their inability to have a paradigm shift around confrontation, what it actually means, and having courage and having this ability or skill level to make the next right decision. That's all you need your expert for. You just, because you're going to be the one that takes the action. That's easy. Taking action is actually easy. But knowing exactly what to do and when to do it. There's nothing like that. And here's why. And for you, buddy, it's like just finding a why. When I complete this mission, what will that bring the world? How will I be a better version of myself for the world? I was talking to a guy once who's this really cool veteran guy. And I remember telling him, like, so when you're on stages, do you think people would trust you more if you had a 6-pack? Like abs. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, awesome. So that became his why. People now are going to trust me more, and I'm going to hold a leadership position by virtue of what my physical body looks like. And that got him going. So like just knowing you can shift your paradigm and your why. How can I serve people the best of my ability? Who do I need to be to do that? Because I mean, you're like, no, everyone else is the same, by the way. No one is different than you. So what's your version of that? Everybody listening, what's your version of that? What's one thing I know right now I need help with that if I were to just do it, I would be performing better. I would be helping people more effectively. People would trust me more. My relationships would improve. It's actually really simple. It's just applying the work.
Exactly.
I could talk to you for like 7 hours, so we should probably.
We could continue. I love it. But where can people connect with you and find out more about emotional sobriety?
Yeah, so I love LinkedIn. It's one of my favorites. I'm just Dr. Andrea Vitz on there, Andrea, V as in Victor, ITZ. And then also I like to leave people with a little sheet to find your emotionally triggered behaviors. So if you text the number 33777, text the word leader, LEADER, all caps, to 33777, you're going to get a PDF download of essentially like a checklist. So you can see what emotionally triggered behaviors do I actually demonstrate that are hurting myself or other people. And then there should be like a QR code or something on there. If that QR code doesn't work, by the way, just email me, Andrea@liftedacademy.com. I will support you. I always answer emails. Just people think I'm crazy. I always answer emails. I love people. Tell me what you're struggling with. I'll help you. But yeah, this is a great little checklist. It took me a couple years to develop, and don't be ashamed because I was guilty of every one of them.
Well, number one, I'm going to put all those in the show notes, but I also need to throw you a plug. Your content on Facebook is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It's phenomenal. The algorithm, right? We'll just say the algorithm. I see it almost every day, and your messages, they're poignant, they hit home, they're clear. Follow you on Facebook. That's just a plug. That's just the plug I'm going to give you, because it really is. And especially if you're a regular listener, I only say things like that if I mean it. There's some people that I've seen their LinkedIn stuff is great. There's some people I said their Instagram stuff is great, but your Facebook stuff is blowing me away. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. No, I appreciate that. And I get messages on Facebook all the time. So yes, you will find me on Facebook, Andrea Vitz. I'm there.
Again, I don't want to give too much stuff away, but that's sort of kind of how we connected, sort of kind of. And I'll leave that out there for people to kind of guess on that. But anyway. Yeah,
I just asked a question, and then Tim was a referral for me, like a recommendation to solve my problem. Look at that.
Let's just do this. The referral came from my brother-in-law.
Yep. Gary, one of my good friends.
Okay. Yeah. Gary's a phenomenal guy. I'm not just saying that because he's my brother-in-law and my wife listens, but Gary is one of my favorite people. He's somebody that lives by his own beat, which I love. I love people that do that. He's always insightful. He always, he's never not given me insightful, good advice. He's never not given me, a throwaway.
Yeah.
He's intentional and family talk. But anyway, thanks, Gary, for this. But Andrea, thank you for spending so much time with us today, with the Speaking with Confidence community. And I'm sure you and I are going to be talking again real soon.
Oh, please. And yes, thank you, Gary, for me too. It's been a really good connection.
Be sure to visit speakingwithconfidencepodcast.com to get your free ebook, The Top 21 Challenges for Public Speakers and How to Overcome Them. You can also register for the Forming for Public Speaking course. Always remember, your voice has the power to change the world. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.